Hello, and welcome to the Nonfiction Authors Podcast. I'm Carla King, your host, and before we start, I'd like to invite you to go to the Freebies tab at nonfictionauthorsassociation.com to check out our free reports. We develop these reports to help you figure out things like ISBNs, distribution, optimizing book sales on Amazon, generating book reviews, growing your email list, and we provide checklists on things like publishing and book launches. Now stay tuned for this week's guest. Hi, everybody. Today we're talking with Chelsea Bennett at Lulu about how to create workbooks and sell them from your own site. Chelsea Bennett is the brand engagement manager for Lulu.com and is constantly researching and developing new resources for self-published authors. Her areas of expertise include self-publishing, print-on-demand technology, building an author brand, direct sales and marketing for self-published authors and entrepreneurs. When not thinking about self-publishing, Chelsea can be found playing disc golf with her husband or having in-depth conversations about the universe with her cat, Batman. Welcome to the podcast, Chelsea.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
I love seeing the cat across your shoulders sometimes. I just want to say we've known each other for so long and have been on panels together. It's just great to know you for this long and to be able to geek out with you on the nuances of book distribution and sales and direct sales and all the different things that you can do to create products that support your book and your author and entrepreneur career.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about direct sales for several years now, but it's exciting to see that more and more people are joining the conversation.
I think a lot of authors are a little bit timid to jump into direct sales, but there are all kinds of cool things that you can create in addition to workbooks. Why don't you just start with talk about Lulu, what Lulu does, and besides books, what else you offer besides workbooks?
Yeah, well, that's a great place to start. So for anyone not familiar with Lulu, we are a self-publishing and print-on-demand company. It's completely free to use Lulu to publish. You only pay when you want to buy print copies of your books. As you mentioned, we also do magazines, comic books, calendars, photo books. I always tell people, if whatever's in your mind, you can make on Lulu. We do hardcover, paperback, foil bound, of course, as you alluded to, and saddle stitch. So we really run the gamut of different formats and trim sizes that you can choose from. And then outside of that, we also have the distribution piece, which we have our own bookstore at lulu.com. We sell through Amazon, Ingram, and Barnes & Noble. And we also have our print API and Lulu Direct, which gets into the direct sales we were talking about.
Great, thanks. Okay, so some of the products you mentioned, workbooks and maybe calendars and all that, they can't be run through the POD engine. So why don't we just introduce print on demand for people who don't know what that is? Because I do amazingly feel like many people who are entering the book publishing realm don't understand that they don't need to print 1,000 books and put them in their garage.
Yes, and so liberating. You can use your garage space for whatever other
Your
hobbies
car.
that you have. Yes, what a novel idea, pun intended. Yes, so print on demand is the backbone of everything we do at Lulu. And the great thing about that, and what I always tell people, is it's so low risk, high reward, because you can try it out and you can listen to this podcast and say, that was interesting. Let me try it out, create an account for free, publish a book and buy one of them and see, oh, this worked out, or I need to tweak something, which inevitably you will, regardless of if you use Lulu or not. But by going with print on demand, you can invest and iterate and see what's working for you, and you don't have to fill up your extra rooms or space. Lulu was founded in 2002 because our founder, Bob Young, had gone through a vanity press and ended up with like thousands of copies of his book. And we still have them in our office to this day. And he just thought there's got to be a better way to this publishing process. And so that is when Lulu was born. And so, yeah, everything we've done is print on demand, regardless of if you sell through our bookstore, global distribution, which is what we call our partnership with Amazon and Ingram and Barnes & Noble, or Lulu Direct. All of our solutions are print on demand. So as an author, if you're entering into this and it feels very overwhelming, just remember you can start with one and go from there.
I love that. Thank you for that reminder. Iteration is awesome. And there's nothing like seeing a book in your hand and seeing what it actually really looks like. I mean, sometimes I'll get a draft of my own book or a book that I've been editing. I'm like, wow, I never saw these words before. Did I actually write these words? they they really do look different in print.
Completely different experience reading it off the screen and actually in real life.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh,
the proof
it's
copy is a
amazing.
huge part of the process. And when you can do it on demand, then it's very, very convenient.
We all know that Lulu and Amazon KDP and Ingram and Drafted Digital, you can all anybody can start from anywhere and just sell their books through the distribution service via POD to all the online stores, right? And even brick and mortar bookstores. But when it comes to certain formats, the POD engine won't work.
Yeah, so that's true. There are some trim sizes and formats that we carry that are not distribution eligible, is what we call it. And so, if you are exploring Lulu's website, we have a great products page. It'll show you everything we offer. And everything that has a green globe and book beside of it, that means that it is eligible for global distribution. When you go through distribution, as you mentioned, if you're selling through Amazon, Amazon is going to make that book, Barnes and Noble, Ingram, the like. So, if you have a trim size they don't support, they're not going to manufacture that for you. So coil bound is a great example of that. Calendars and things like that are not going to be carried through global distribution. And so our response to that is the Lulu bookstore, which you can sell through that. The revenue split there is 80-20. So if you sell your book, you get 80% of the revenue and Lulu gets 20. However, if you say, I'd really like to sell these through my own website, I want to continue my own branding, I want to own the customer journey and get that data, that's where direct sales really shines. And that's where that opportunity comes in. So all of our trim sizes are available to sell through our bookstore or your own website. But yes, to your point, not everybody wants to make those, but we're happy to do it for you. So if you want to go with those trim sizes, direct sales or the Lulu bookstore are the way to go.
Right. And so, what is the advantage monetarily? You said 80-20 is a great royalty split, 80 to the author, right?
Yes.
So, when I sell my book directly on my own website, is it the same royalty split or do I get a better royalty split?
Yes, that's a great question. When you sell directly through your own website, you keep all of the revenue. So there is no middleman, there's no distributor. You're distributing the book through your own website. So you keep 100% of the revenue. So you just pay the manufacturing cost for the book. And then whatever you're selling it for, that profit comes back to you. Direct sales has so many benefits. Obviously, the monetary part is a huge one, but being able to get people on your website when you work so hard as an author, independent or traditionally published author, building an audience is hard and getting people to give you their time and their attention is very difficult. So when you get to that point of sale, when you send them away to Amazon or party marketplace, you're really missing out on that data and that information and that opportunity to build a lifelong relationship with that reader. So when you sell through your own website, you do get more money per sale, and that's very exciting. You get paid faster as well. So when you are selling through your own website, depending on the platform you're using, you can get paid within 24 to 48 hours, depending on what your e-commerce engine is. If you're selling through a third-party marketplace, it usually takes weeks or even months to get that payment. Getting that cash flow can really help your author business. But then also the implications of owning your own customer data and keeping someone on your website are pretty tremendous for any author, I would say. So it's just a lot of benefits to direct sales there.
Absolutely. And owning that customer data, the email list is so important.
Yes.
So, we're talking about a few different kinds of platforms here today. We're talking about your website platform, which could be WordPress, Wix, what else?
Shopify, Squarespace, Etsy, Thrivecart. I've seen a lot of people use that lately. There are a plethora of options for you to create your own website if you haven't done so already.
I use the Lulu API to sell my workbook on my own website, which is selfpubbootcamp.com/books. And so you
Mhm.
can see the process there just for demonstration purposes. But there's another option. So you've got Lulu Direct.
Yeah, so for Lulu Direct, it's our integration, our e-commerce integration that will connect to Shopify or WooCommerce for WordPress. So if you have a Shopify site, you can just use our app for Shopify and sell your books directly that way. If you have a WordPress site, WooCommerce works really well with WordPress. So you can plug in your WooCommerce store and then fulfill your books that way. And then if you want just more customization, if you have a book that you maybe need some reader information to customize each copy. So what that might look like is we have a company that uses us and they make astrological planners. And so you put in your birth date and the time that you were born, and then they create your bespoke astrological natal transit planners. Honeycomb Collective is what they're called. Very cool. We have another one that does bespoke diet and fitness plans. So you answer a quiz and then they make a book customized to you. Those are both built off of our API to fulfill those books. I've heard of people doing this with a book about sleep and how to get the best sleep, and you need to figure out how people are doing it to customize a plan for them. The API is really great for customization or mass scale. And then if you just need a store and you want to sell your books directly, then using a Shopify or WooCommerce for WordPress might be a little bit easier to get set up for you.
I just want to back up for a minute
Yeah.
because I come from a technical background in Silicon Valley, so I'm pretty comfortable with doing this stuff myself. However, when I wanted to install the Lulu API on my WordPress site, I looked into it. I'm like, okay, I have to install the API. I need commerce. I need to decide where I'm going to get paid from my Stripe account or from my PayPal account. And I decided on WordPress, WooCommerce, and Stripe. But I looked into installing the API myself, and I'm just like, it would take me hours to figure it out. Am I ever going to do this again? No. And so I went on Fiverr and I just put in Lulu API, right, as a skill. I did find somebody who was great and did it for under $20. So
Yeah,
that was
worth
awesome.
it. Yeah. I mean, the API going into it, you definitely have to be tech savvy. And then, like you said, you have to think what is worth my time and what is worth my money. You can do it, you can set all that up, but it's just like anything else with self publishing. You can format your own book if you really wanted to. You could edit it to a certain extent if you really wanted to. But at a certain point, you have to say, this is worth it for me to invest in. And so, again, if the API, if you are creating a book that really needs that customization or you're interested in offering that, and maybe you already have an e-commerce engine set up and you don't need Shopify and you don't need WooCommerce, then using the API makes sense. Or if you, like you said, you do have WooCommerce and WordPress and you want to use it, you can, but you just have to think, do I have a coder on staff? Can I get to the back end of my website? Do I want to take this line of code and embed it? And if those answers are no, then Fiverr is a great solution. We love Fiverr.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Fiverr gets a bad rap, but it's a cheap way to find very good talent, I think.
I
And you
agree.
can also use Upwork or some other site as well. So I just want to help people learn how to talk to their tech people. So starting out, I say I have a workbook. It's spiral bound. I want to get it from Lulu. So how do I instruct a tech person to help me with this? What do I tell them that I need?
You would send them to our website. We have all the documentation that is available for free. So you go to lulu.com and we have a sell tab at the top. Just go to sell on your site. You'll see all of our options there. My favorite thing to tell people that are publishing or writing a book is you don't know what you don't know. This certainly fits into that. So you have to do your research and look at all these solutions and say what's going to make the most sense for me. So again, if you want to go with our API, then you would just direct that person to our site where they can get the documentation for free, have that line of code, and then we have guides that will walk you through the process. And again, if you are working with them, then they're probably at the point where they understand what all this lingo means, RESTful APIs and JSON and all that stuff. And if they do, then you can just send them that documentation and that file. They're able to read through it and then connect to your website that way.
Right. And I installed my own WooCommerce, which is just a click of the button, and WordPress. And then I was guided through the process with WooCommerce to create my product. And my product was my workbook. So I took the image from Lulu of my workbook and I put that image up, and I had to create a link for the customer to purchase that book. And the API, then in the background, I get a sale. I don't have to do anything. What happens next? When the customer buys it, they get a beautiful thank you page from me. And then voila, it goes off to you. What happens there?
The automation is the biggest part, or I won't say biggest. I've mentioned a couple other huge benefits of selling direct, but automation is huge. So going back to not having to fill your garage, not having to plan every week or month to go to the mailbox or go to the post office to send out your books. When the order comes through, it's just transmitted to us and then we ship it to whoever bought it. We have a global print network so we can get your books anywhere your customers are around the world. So as soon as that order comes through, it's transmitted to us. But one of the great things about using direct sales in either of the solutions, whether it's Lulu Direct or our print API, you can white label this service. So no one has to know that Lulu is involved. The white label drop shipping is available to you if you want to keep your branding front and center. Again, the order comes through your website. The transaction is completed on your website. So the whole thing is done there. And then we just get the order sent through us to via our API. We have a global print network, so it'll ship to anywhere your readers are in the world. And you can, again, build that relationship, ship, and keep your brand front and center. And we just print and fulfill. Everything is automated. You don't have to touch anything. You can just watch the money hit your bank account.
That's so nice. And drop shipping, can we just define that term?
Yeah, it essentially just means an order comes through and then it goes to a manufacturer, which is Lulu, and it'll go to our print network. We print and fulfill the books and then send it to the customer. And so you have nothing to do but sit back and watch the sales come in.
Yeah. And then you also use the term white labeling, which some people may
Yes.
not know.
Yeah, thank you. So white labeling just means that your branding is front and center. It means that no one has to know Lulu is involved. Our branding isn't on the package or anything like that. You can upload your logo and your brand, and that is what the customer will receive. So it's really an end-to-end process of you create. I mean, you could create your own publishing imprint if you so desired, and use just drop shipping and white labeling to do that. So again, white label just means that you're taking a product and putting your branding on it.
Great. Thank you for that. It's hard to work backwards and start from these terms, right?
Yes, I know. Yeah. Well, when we talk about direct sales, it's like when you're in it all the time, you
Yeah.
forget that, yeah, coming to it new, you need a primer sometimes.
Great. And so I use WordPress, but what if I was using Wix or a similar product? Could I use it there?
Yeah, if you want to use Wix or Etsy or Thrivecart, then that's going to be or their API. So you'll need to embed that code into your website. But if you wanted to use something that was more of an app or a different integration with WooCommerce or WordPress or Shopify, then that is what Lulu Direct is for. So that's our e-commerce integration. And then our API is obviously our API. So again, it's just two different processes. We look forward to rolling out different e-commerce integrations with Lulu Direct. But if it's anything outside of WooCommerce or Shopify for right now, then you'll want to go with our print API to accommodate that.
Mhm. And again, when would you want to use Lulu Direct?
I would say you want to use Lulu Direct if you have a book that is not completely bespoke, if it doesn't need to be different for every single purchaser, then Lulu Direct is great for that. Also, if you just want to kind of get in and out a little bit faster, Lulu Direct is a great way to do that. Shopify is a very user-friendly platform, so it can be very out of the box and easy to use. And WooCommerce and WordPress, the customization is endless there. So if you already have a WordPress site, you can use WooCommerce and then integrate with Lulu Direct that way. But if you really want to, if you have a need for very high customization where you want to make every book different, then I would say the API is the best option for you.
Okay, so maybe I didn't need the API. Maybe I only really needed Lulu Direct.
I think you could have used Lulu. I mean, for a coil bound workbook, you can use Lulu Direct in any of our solutions to do that. So yeah, Lulu Direct would have worked great for you. But if you've already gone through the process of getting the API, hopefully that's working out as well.
It's working out great, but I just,
Great.
I would guess I need to make everything more complicated or something.
Makes life more exciting, I guess.
So, talk to me about this customization because if you bought a workbook and I could say, "Thank you, Chelsea. Best of luck in your publishing journey on my publishing workbook." I could do that for each customer.
Yeah, you could build your intake, what information you need from your customers. So, like I said, I mean, right now, two of our biggest clients that use our API is a company called Kilo Health. And so, when they're using our API, they have a little quiz or intake form that essentially asks you some questions. That prompting creates your own custom fitness and meal plan. And then the other one that I mentioned was the Honeycomb Collective, and they do these astrological natal transit planners. So, if you don't know what that means, it's basically your astrological signs for you based on the time, the specific time you were born and your date of birth. So they have to have those pieces of information to make you a custom product. So what you would have to do is just build an intake form. What information do you need? And if it's, hey, I just need to know your name so that you can get a personal message in this workbook, then that would be the way to do it. So I would go back to Fiverr probably, unless you want to build this on your own, figure out how to build that intake, and then that will just go into every single order. That information is put in, and then every book is printed differently for that customer.
Awesome. That intake form, it can't be just a Google form or something like that. It has to be integrated in the website, in the WooCommerce platform.
It would need to be built into it, so it's a part of the order process. So as you go to check out and buy the book, then you just need to fill out a couple extra fields that will be included in the manuscript and in the final product.
That's fantastic. I really did not know that. I just set myself up for it. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, yeah, you already see a part of you knew that you wanted that anyway. So now you can take advantage of it.
okay. So we reviewed the three ways: the Lulu online store, right?
Yes.
Lulu Direct, which is the next easiest thing, and the
Yes.
Lulu API, which is, I didn't find it so hard really with help from my Fiverr guy.
Yeah. If you just want to test the waters, maybe test out our quality, get familiar with the platform and just the upload and publishing process, the file
Mm.
requirements, things like that, create a free account. You can upload and order one copy. Then, if you do want to dabble with direct sales, but maybe you're not ready to go to Fiverr or hire someone or play around with code, if that really intimidates you, and I'm in that boat, then Lulu Direct is a great way to go. And just again, pick which path you want to go. Right now, we have Shopify and WooCommerce for WordPress. And then once you do that, you can upload your projects and start selling through your store. And if you want to go full customization, you want every book to be different and addressing the customer or have specific information for that customer in your book, then go ahead and look at our API, and that'll be a great option for you.
So one more question. You keep talking about Shopify, and
Yes.
I talked with an author who used Shopify as
Mhm.
his main website for book sales. And Shopify does a great job of providing you with a website
Mhm.
and an e-commerce solution built in. So
Yes.
will you talk about that Shopify plugin?
If you buy a Shopify subscription or you get a free trial, then you can just create your whole store within the Shopify network. Shopify is a huge
Mm.
e-commerce platform. Shopify is already the built-in e-commerce engine. So again, that's why I like to recommend that one for if you want something that's just out of the box. They have really nice templates set up and you can get started at probably a little bit faster. Shopify is a good option. But if you aren't sure, we have articles and videos on all of these. So if you're at the end of this podcast and thinking this is still Greek to me, we can dig in a little bit deeper and figure out which one's going to be
All
right.
right.
Yeah.
So the e-commerce solutions are Stripe. I use Stripe,
Yeah.
PayPal.
Yeah, and then like we said, Shopify obviously is a great option for you. You can get your website set up. I've seen more people using Thrivecart as well, and then they go on Wix. You could use Etsy if you wanted to sell through that, and there are more and more every day. So if you just do a quick Google search, you can find a ton of them. But we found that Shopify obviously is one of the biggest ones. And then so many people have WordPress sites. And through our research, we found that WooCommerce really connects well with WordPress. So that was why we rolled out with these two originally or in the beginning, and we'll continue to grow that. If you aren't hearing the e-commerce engine of your choice yet, then definitely sign up for our newsletter, and I'm sure it will be coming soon.
Think we've geeked out enough. But I hope that people realize the benefits and how they can make it easier on themselves by understanding the lingo and how to talk to the technical people and to go to Fiverr or Upwork or somewhere and talk or email with the person or chat with the person long enough to where you feel comfortable with them. There are people who will blow you off, right? Like a couple of the Fiverr pros were, they're like, yeah, I can do everything. Yeah, I can do everything. Right. No, I wanted much more of an interaction than that and make sure that I felt comfortable and trusted them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that the most important thing to note is that the solutions are out there. It is available to you. Direct sales are accessible. And just being able to keep that in mind and knowing where to go to find them. We've been doing this for a while. And so we have a great customer service team that can really walk you through that. We get these questions all the time. So we've developed a ton of resources and help articles to get people through the process. So all it takes is a little search and a little bit of time.
And it does, Chelsea, I think of you as the face of lulu.com because I see you on YouTube all the time and on webinars, and you've been on the Nonfiction Authors Association. And it's been awesome to be involved with you since way back, since I was doing the self-publishing boot camps, for gosh sakes.
Yes, I was just thinking, I think the last time we were together was at San Francisco Writers Conference. I think it was maybe 2020. It was right before everything changed. But yeah, so it's been quite a while.
And do you know, fun fact is that I was part of the Wild Writing Women writing group in San Francisco, and we had a monthly salon down at Union Square, and Bob Young was one of our first guests to talk about self-publishing.
Oh my gosh.
The founder of Lulu. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we've been around for a long time. It's funny. People ask me at conferences, are you guys a startup? I'm like, no, we're more like a teenager, I guess, or like a young adult now, because we just turned, I think, 22 this year, maybe. So yeah, we've been around for a while, and that's really helped us just develop a lot of resources and content to help people get through this self-publishing game. So yeah, we hope that it's helpful.
Great. Where's the best place to reach you? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? Where can we find you?
Yeah, connect with us on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and just search Lulu University, you will find me, fortunately or unfortunately. So yeah, go look at our videos there. Again, we have a ton of resource on e-commerce, selling and direct sales, and everything from selling direct through your own website to customer service. Because as you talked about, that thank you page, that checkout, those email lists, there's so much that goes into it and being able to nurture that process. So yeah, check me out there. I look at all the comments, so go there and be friendly.
Thanks, Chelsea, for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. I really appreciate it. This has been great.
It's been awesome, as always. And thank you to our nonfiction author listeners and the professionals who help you succeed. Remember, keep writing and publishing. The world needs your experience and expertise. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nonfiction Authors Podcast. You can find the transcript, show notes, and links for this episode on the Courses and Events tab at nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. While you're there, please check out our membership options. We've negotiated discounts for our members that can more than pay for your membership fees, such as 20% off editing and 10% off audiobook production, 33% off our master courses, discounts for printing, publishing, and website development, and discounts from Office Depot as high as 80%. We send out an author advisor email every Friday that includes media leads to everything from periodicals to podcasts where you can promote your book. Members can also participate in our very popular mastermind group we call the Author Brainstorm Exchange, and you'll get access to our private community too. We have a year-round Nonfiction Book Awards program, an annual Nonfiction Writers Conference, classes, and master courses on book marketing, book publishing, and book promotion, all of which come with optional professional certification for author assistants, consultants, coaches, and others who help authors succeed. There's a lot more to explore at nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. We hope to see you there.